You don't even remember. I mean, you remembered now.
I remember. No, when you came by the bar, Jana.
Yeah. When she came to the pitch. Yeah, you came to say.
I'm with my friends. I love you so much. Oh my god. I'm so much.
But they scream. I didn't sound like that.
I
didn't sound like that.
She got me at the book. I was to meet her. I was like, hey, what's up, man?
Oh, she's not the mood here.
She's like, I want you to meet my friend here. I was like, hey, how are you? She's like, oh my gosh, your skin is like a porcelain doll. Danny!
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
Hey.
Hey guys,
Hey, man.
mechi ya jana pekee kwa bagrega na wewe.
Zilikuwa mingi.
Kulikuwa na dondi. Ilikuwa kama. She's like a porcelain doll. Guy.
And I've had one of those. It's really smooth.
Like what? Porcelain doll?
Yeah.
Alright, we go.
Just hold us like that. Let's test up and
Screw you.
Hey. So, we chop a quick.
Yeah, chop a quick one.
You get that
12 minutes, eh?
Yeah.
Episode 37, part 1 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the Three Quarters Podcast. Now, from the onset, the Three Quarters Podcast has been all about 15s rugby, and we'd like to urge you to keep supporting the boys as they're still hoping to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2019. Do this by jumping onto the hashtag Road to Japan, as we know they are our superstars in rugby. I'm Tamima Duffield.
This is Ngashi, official noisemaker. I'm Jiringus Kenyana.
So we'll start off with the game that was on last weekend. Kenya hosted Hong Kong for the second leg of the test match. Now, Kenya lost 34. Yes, 34-43. What are your thoughts on that game?
To a poor showing for Kenya, man. 34-43, a totally different game compared to the first one. First one, which had basically the second team. For us guys to lose this game, it was a bit terrible. Once again, I think our guys took a lot of time to settle into the game. We were just playing defense. Yeah. Basically, the first half and early on the second half, we were just defending. We were a bit off, especially in the channel between 10, 12, 13 tried when Kilonzo was still playing, when Peter Kilonzo was still playing. But now when Mahanji came in again, a bit wrist tackles and all, and the scrum once again, we lost it. We lost the scrum totally. I'd hoped that with the forwards that had started, especially the front row, would have been much better, but it never happened.
Yeah. I mean,
we waited for it to happen. I mean, the issue was from a technical perspective in terms of the squad that was chosen. I've always asked myself, and I keep asking myself, fine, we did understand that in the beginning of the year it was mainly because they were never available at the same time. But there's a reason why the logs are called the engine room. Why don't you start with Oliver Mangeni and Wilson Kupondo? There's a reason why it's called the engine room of the scrum. These are the guys who actually played when Kenya went down in Madagascar for the Rugby World Cup qualifiers in 2014. So I think it was largely due to selection. I understand, yes, Kenya and Dollar had a bad game last week, but why don't you have a substitute player from the bench? Because Isaac Dimo was off at some point. You bring in Kenya and Dollar. So I think the biggest mistake, and unfortunately the boys, many of this squad were young guys and therefore unable to handle this test match kind of rugby. This is the same team we played last year. Remember, it's a largely different team from what played Hong Kong last year, and we beat Hong Kong 34-10. So for me, throughout this whole international season, my issue has always been one. And we mentioned that in episode 15 of this podcast, interference in squad selection. That's the problem we're seeing, and it culminated in the performance versus Hong Kong. Rumor has it that, I don't know how true it is, but rumor has it that head coach Jerome Parvati has left, and the union have decided to terminate the relationship they have with Western Province.
if it's true, of course I'm saying unconfirmed reports, I don't know how true it is, but if it's true, then we're in problems. Because when you sit down and talk to these players and they tell you that Jerome might not be here for the whole time, but for the time that he's there, whatever he tells them is important. When he's sitting on top there, of course it's from a tactics perspective. That happens in world rugby, you know. So, and to me, this thing about not having the money to pay these guys crap, because the directors are being paid
A lot.
yes, the secretariat is being paid, they never miss their salaries, yet players, again, the biggest stakeholders of this game are number one, the players, number two, the fans. SportPesa does not come if you don't have players. So we just need to get our house in order, because this game was a culmination of what has been happening in the union.
And funny that you mentioned that whenever he's here for 2 days, Jerome Pavata, whatever he tells the players, I talked to a few of them. They said when they apply what the head coach has told them to, it works out in favor for them.
Yes.
And it turns out to be a good game, and we always win.
Yes.
Apart from maybe a few losses.
Yes. If you don't have the skill set or the good technical background to run some of these positions, you outsource. That's what America has done. That's what England has done. And England, remember, is the home of rugby.
Yep.
That's what they've done. That's what Wales have been doing for years, getting New Zealand coaches. So we need to stop this stuff about having local coaches. Yes, we do appreciate that our standards need to rise, but we need to put some money aside and bring in a good technical side that can play with our guys, that can run with our guys and bring in systems and set in systems. Because now, if it's true, my guy, we're in problems.
And as well, then if you can't pay these guys, then at least train our guys, give them some skill sets, take them for coaching, training, and all that.
Yeah.
Give them the skill, acquire the skill, and then you can have our local coaches.
Now, just looking at the two games, I mean, we had Hong Kong one weekend and then played them again. What do you think went wrong in the sense that, I mean, we supposedly played a stronger team. On paper, that was, I mean, and on any other ordinary day, that was a stronger team. What do you think happened for us? I mean, the result, yeah.
It just didn't work out.
It didn't, it really didn't.
For example, when we played Hong Kong on 20th of August, our back rows were fetching in the breakdown. We didn't have a fetcher apart from Chisanga in this game, this past weekend. So we were not. That was the first thing. That was on the defensive racks. When we were on the offensive, we were not even securing our racks. You see, how many turnovers did we have?
Yes, I remember all those turnovers and
lost a
thinking,
couple.
oh my word.
Exactly, lost a couple of turnovers. Then some small things that are mental issues, like you've seen this guy kicking. You've seen the Hong Kong number 10 kicking during training, during warm-up. Sorry, he's knocking 50-meter penalties. You cannot be conceding penalties in your own half. So I just think it was to me it was mental.
Mental. We lost the game mentally.
Yeah.
Such a sad
I'm
situation.
lost for words, honestly. I am. I think it got to half time and I was like, I can't watch it. I can't watch anymore.
Well, I think as well, the game of the 20th, it was some guys were getting their first caps and everything. I think they really turned up to give a name for themselves, let guys know that yes, we are here, note us because we can do this as well and beat these guys. Hong Kong did not change their team.
Yeah.
Or apart from save two guys.
Yeah.
Save two guys from the 20th and the 26th March. Only two changes were made. And us guys changed practically
The whole team. And I guess the question then you ask is, then why were these guys playing on 20th?
Yeah.
Team 2? Because the understanding was they were being given a run, and the guys who put their hands up were going to get a chance to play on 26th. For me, the number one person I'm thinking about is Elkin Samsonia.
Yep.
Because he really dominated the breakdown on the game on the 20th. How come he was not chosen for this game?
Yeah.
How come we still maintained that 23 that has been playing throughout the season? But anyway, we can only lament. There's nothing much you can do.
Well, that's just what we think. We still support the Simbas, despite the loss. Remember, you can find us on social media. That is by liking our page on Facebook, following us on Instagram, and also subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Jimmy Duffield.
This is Ngashi Official Noisemaker.
I'm Jerry Goose, Kenyana.
Stay tuned for part 2.